Welcome everybody to the Grow My Music webinar. Hello, my name is Luke Gergis, and I want to congratulate you for taking the first steps to fast track your music career. As you'll know, there's a lot of musicians out there who don't put in time to learn and to grow. You guys are not one of those people, so congratulations. Today, you're going to learn very simple steps that you'll be able to implement right away as soon as this webinar is over, and it's going to basically start making you more money, start increasing your following, and you're going to really, and I mean really, fast track your music career years ahead of where you were pre-webinar. This webinar is for you if you are an artist, a songwriter, or a manager. To be honest, if you're looking to get into the music industry at all, you want to be a publicist, you want to go to record label world, you want to go to publishing world, this webinar is going to be crucial for you and you're going to get a lot out of it. If you want to reach more people and convert them into real fans, you go on a lot of bands' pages that might have 100,000 people on Facebook and thousands of people on Twitter, yet they can't sell one record and they're not selling out any of their shows. And then by contrast, you look at other pages that might only have a few hundred or a few thousand Facebook likes and very little followers on Twitter, yet they're doing all the festivals, they're on radio, they're charting on iTunes, they're selling out their shows. That's because those pages in this example with a smaller audience have converted that audience into real fans, yet the bigger pages haven't. So whether you already have a massive audience and you don't feel like you're getting any traction, or you've got absolutely no following whatsoever, we're going to teach you how to reach more people and convert them into real fans. And what will that do? That will increase your income as a musician. We're going to teach you how to basically get to a point where you can live off your music with or without a hit. And this is tried and tested and proven methods. I'm a manager and I'll explain who I am in the next slide, but I basically do this with all the artists I work with, and every single person I've worked with, bar none exception, bar not one exception, I think is the phrase, has lived off their music. We're going to teach you the fundamentals about what major labels do and how they release records and how they market their artists. That means if you are a solo artist with no money, no experience, sitting in your bedroom listening to this, you will be able to, after this webinar, operate like the major labels do. And I'm not joking, I've worked with most of them in Australia. I've worked with Sony, I've worked with Universal, and I know how they work. We're going to basically teach you how to operate like a major label today. We're also going to teach you how the highly successful artists got to where they got to, what processes, what systems, what structures they have in place to get them where they are today, and then what they continue to do to continue their momentum, their growth, and maximize their income. Okay, so a bit about my story. I started making music at 17 in my bedroom, just recording into my laptop microphone. I didn't know anyone in the music industry at all. I kept making a lot of mistakes. Eventually, I did get into a studio and I did employ a publicist and I did spend money on marketing and I did start recording film clips and I spent tens of thousands of dollars completely wasted. I employed the wrong people. I did the wrong things. I just wasted a lot of money that didn't give me the returns I needed. And that was basically both a financial return and also audience return. My fan base wasn't growing. Not many people knew about me. And I just felt like I was just spinning my wheels in the sand. And then I started educating myself. I mean, the education, to be honest, came from two ways. So, first of all, yes, I did start to write books. I did get myself in the right networks. I did eventually get a mentor. But you know what? I spent 6 years educating myself by just making mistakes. You know, there's two ways to educate yourself. You can do trial and error for 7 to 8 to 10 years, spend a load of money, and then you'll kind of know what to do after that. Or you can do some courses, talk to some people, read some books. And you know what? You guys are doing a course now, so you've already started that. Well done. And to be honest, what's the smart way to do it? Trial and error for 10 years, which costs you a lot of money, or just do a bit of education like you're doing now, which might take you 90 minutes. I know which is the smartest one, and I think you guys do too. So congratulations again. As an artist, I wasn't very good. Don't Google me, but I basically was able to get to a point where I sold out the Annandale Hotel 3 times. It's about a 300-400 cap from memory, and the Oxford Art Factory 2 or 3 times, and that was a 500 cap venue. So I was charting on iTunes as well, and I was, gaining a really strong converted audience online. And yes, I did realize that sort of at the climax of all that happening, actually when we got to the Factory Theatre, which was an 800 cap room, that all the people in the crowd can't have been there for my music because it wasn't very good. So I got very good at basically managing my own music. And I was a very good manager. And that's when I realized, hey, maybe I should actually get into management. And that's what I did. So I became a manager. And, over the last sort of 10 years with all the artists I manage, I've sold out multiple national tours, like almost one a year at least, sometimes four a year. I've signed artists, musicians, and comedians and entertainers. I've recently signed an entertainer in San Francisco called Simone Yach. She's Swedish. Some of you guys might know her, and we'll get to her in a bit. And some of my artists have had multiple Hottest 100 hits, and I've negotiated hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of record and publishing deals, over $1 million now, to be honest. I've also achieved commercial radio success. So I've had the Triple J stuff, and I've done commercial radio stuff. I was working as the A&R and marketing director at Shock Records, which up until recently was the biggest independent record label in Australia. I'm now managing director of Be Like Children, which is my own music management company, and I've been contracted with some massive companies, which I can't disclose, as a social media expert. Now I've joined on as the managing director of Grow My Music, and I've explained why I've done that, because I really, really believe in this program, and I think it's going to save a lot of up-and-coming musicians tens of thousands of dollars and a lot of years. And now currently I'm CEO of 7th Street Media, who has just acquired Tone Deaf, J-Play, The Brag, The Industry Observer, and launched a new vertical, Don't Bore Us, which makes us the biggest music media publisher in Australia, which is very exciting to be a part of that. This is a good friend of mine, Heath, who was head of A&R director at Universal for 10 years, and he's now been poached by BMG, which is making very, very aggressive plays in Australia, and he's now managing director and head of BMG Australia. So he's kicking some massive goals for that new company now. So go and check out the BMG roster if you're interested about publishing, but I'll actually explain a bit about what publishing is later on in the webinar, because I know a lot of people, publishing is the last thing artists seem to learn. So they learn about records and marketing and recording and all that sort of stuff, and then the last thing is kind of, oh, what's publishing? And then they need to hear the explanation maybe 5 or 6 times before they understand it. So I'll do my best to explain it to you at the end of the webinar too. And how you can use publishing to your advantage. So this is the reality of the situation. 96% of musicians aren't living off their music. To be honest, I'm surprised it's not higher. This is basically a bit of an unacceptable statistic. Like, imagine if I told you 96% of, I don't know, taxi drivers weren't living off taxi driving. It's stupid. It's a profession, right? So if you're doing it, you should be living off it. And again, this is what Grow My Music is here to do. We're here to really help people get to where they need to be faster. Some of the artists I've developed from the ground up, Little C. This is a band that has sold out 4 national tours in minutes. We played Amplify Festival, which was arenas. We were the only band on that. We had commercial radio play. We had the #1 album on iTunes in 12 different countries, and we're in the top 50 in about 30 different countries. We've trended around the world on Twitter, maybe 50 trends, around the world. And on the left is Chance Waters, who was the first artist I ever signed. He's a rapper from Sydney and was living on Centrelink at the time and was living with his parents and not much money. To be honest, I mean, we grew him up. He signed a major publishing deal and a major record deal and was a massive festival touring artist, had Hottest 100 hits. And unfortunately, he got sick, so he's been active the last few years. But till this day, he still hasn't had to go back and get a job because of the money he made on music. Oh, this is Simone, actually, the person I mentioned before. So she is a YouTuber. When I signed her, she had maybe 20,000 subscriptions. Now we're at nearly 300,000 subscriptions. Maybe by the time you're watching this, she would have ticked over the 300,000. And she's basically a YouTuber slash comedian slash inventor, and she just makes really cool content online. And I guess the reason why I'm talking about her here, even though she's not a musician, as a music manager, I have applied the same principles to Simone, and Simone has gotten to a point now where we're negotiating massive deals with TV networks overseas. She's getting massive brand deal sponsorships. All these things that I did with Little C and Chance, I implemented them with Simone, and Simone is now also reaping those benefits too. So, like I said, these are very, very simple steps and very basic principles and systems that we're going to teach you in this webinar that can get you to a place where you have a real audience and a real income. Okay, so the reason why we're all here, the 7 steps that are going to fast track your music career. We're going to go through 1, marketing, 2, tax and business structure, 3, social media equity. I'll explain what that is when we get to it. 4, contracts and how they can protect you and save you tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Teach you about record deals, publishing deals, management deals. We'll teach you all about that. And 6 is your network and your team and the people around you that are going to help grow your music. And step 7 is extremely important, and we'll tell you about that at the end. Step 1, marketing. Every second that someone cannot buy something from you, whether it's your website, your Facebook, whatever, you're restricting your income. This is how it's possible to make money when you sleep. You get this right, you'll start selling music every day. You'll start selling out your shows. You'll massively increase your fan base, and guess what? You'll start living off your music. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about is a digital marketing campaign. So, if you have a CD that costs you $3 to reproduce and you sell it for $10, how much money have you made? $7. So, who here can see an advertising budget there? I can see at least $6 to spend per sale, and you would still make a $1 profit. So obviously you want to try and make more than $1 per sale, right? So something I've personally had success with is that I bundle the CDs with t-shirts, hats, posters. And what this does is it increases both your profit margin and your advertising budget. So you can go to sleep, have this digital marketing campaign working for you, wake up and have more fans and more money in the bank. Now, if you're selling a CD on iTunes, obviously it costs you nothing to reproduce because it's a digital item. I implemented this with Little C before we signed to Sony, and this is how we got to #1 in a bunch of different countries on iTunes, right, with this digital marketing campaign. Now, when we signed to Sony, I thought I was going to unlock all this major label magical marketing machine, and they ended up just doing the same thing that I was doing. So it just reaffirmed that you don't need to be part of a major label to get major label success anymore. They are just doing things on their desktop like what we can do on our desktop. They don't have any magical tricks, and if you implement these systems, you'll start working like major labels work their records. The next thing I want to talk about is network marketing. Now, who here wants to learn how to advertise without spending a single cent? Of course you do. All it takes is two things. Right? You need to form a positive relationship with somebody with a larger reach than you or a different reach than you, right? And then you need to put together a proposal which is mutually beneficial. So, say you've got 500 Facebook likes and you approach somebody with 2,000 Facebook likes and you say to them, hey, can you please post a link to my album, and any sales that I get in the next 24 hours, I'll give you half the profits, right? So obviously you wouldn't approach Eminem right away, but maybe somebody in your genre in a different town or something like that. Somebody with a slightly different audience or a bigger audience. So this works beautifully for Chance Waters, who I mentioned before. He was basically a pop artist. He was like Lily Allen, and he happened to rap, right? So he had a lot of like white sort of inner West Sydney sort of audience kids, right? A left-wing vegan, the whole works. And I was also looking after a hip hop group called Mind Over Matter, who were more traditional hip hop. Now, both hip hop, both similar audience sizes, but very, very different fan bases. And anytime Chance would release something, Mind Over Matter would post it. Anytime Mind Over Matter would release something, Chance would post it. And we saw an enormous boost in our sales, in our show numbers, and it ended up leading to all these peripheral benefits, like when they toured together, Chance could maybe bring 500 people, Mind Over Matter could bring, say, 300 people, but then there'd be 1,000 people turn up at the show. So it really had a lot greater benefit than just the cross-promotion of sales, but even if it was just that, it was still hugely beneficial. So I encourage you to start having those conversations and building those relationships with other bands around you. So, what if I don't have any money to manufacture merchandise? Luke, you're talking about selling merchandise and I can't even afford to print a t-shirt to sell. So does this not work for me? Well, no, it can work for you, and I'm going to teach you about a no capital strategy, i.e. you can sell merch without spending money on making merch. This is what we call an infinite profit strategy. You put $0 up front and you just make money. So everyone write Spreadshirt.com down. There are alternatives out there like cafepress.com, but Spreadshirt's the one I know, right? So the way Spreadshirt works is you go onto Spreadshirt, you click a t-shirt, say a plain white t-shirt, and then you upload your logo to it, and then you click checkout, right? Spreadshirt will tell you how much that shirt will cost to deliver it to your door. So let's say that your design with that t-shirt, it costs you $15, right? You go, fantastic. You add that t-shirt you create a new Spreadshirt store and you add that t-shirt to your store. Then you mark up that t-shirt to say $25. Now, every time somebody goes and buys that t-shirt, Spreadshirt will take the $15 they would have charged you and then give you that $10 difference. So you've spent no money manufacturing the merch. Spreadshirt will print it and they will post it. You don't have any merch sitting in your house. You haven't put any money up front making merch, and you've just made the clean profit. No money up front, right? So you can go tonight, leave this webinar, and just create a Spreadshirt store of 30 items, and you spent no money setting it up. hoodies, t-shirts, stickers, wristbands, you name it. It's all up on Spreadshirt. The second thing is merch companies, right? So there's the Araka Group, there's Love Police, there's a bunch of different merch companies out there. And if you get yourself to a point where you're selling a hell of a lot of, let's say you start a Spreadshirt store and you're implementing network marketing and you're using digital marketing strategy and you've built up your social media equity and you started to sell a lot of merch consistently every month, right? A company like the Araka Group might go, hey, we'll take on your merch and we'll actually cover the risk. So we'll pay for your merchandise manufacturing, we'll warehouse it, we'll ship it, we'll handle all the customer service, we'll come to your shows and we'll sell the merch at your shows, we'll ship the merch to all your shows, we'll handle everything end to end, and in return we want a slice of your profits, right? So if you can demonstrate to one of these companies that you can sell a hell of a lot of merch, they're likely to take on the risk. Now this is amazing as a manager, and if you're an artist and you don't have a manager, you are an artist manager. You are a self-managed artist, right? So I'm talking to you too. This is amazing because it takes a lot of work out of your hands. Now, this last thing is a skate deck, and it's a nifty little pre-order strategy that the band Mind Over Matter, which I mentioned before, implemented. So basically, it had been a year since they released their record. They had this really cool artwork sitting there, and they were like, well, maybe we should put it on a skate deck. That'd look pretty cool. They'd never released skate decks before, so they didn't know how many people would want to buy them. So they did a pre-order strategy. So they put up the artwork on the skate deck, as you can see right there, and they said pre-order now, right? We're going to run pre-orders for 1 week, and then we will ship them to you in 8 weeks, right? So after 1 week, they sold $7,000 worth of skate decks. Once they got all those orders done at the end of the week, they closed the sale. They went to a skate deck manufacturing company. They got them printed to order, and then they skate deck manufacturers shipped it out to the customers. How much money did they put up to sell the skate decks? $0. How much money did they gross? $7,000. The beautiful trick of the pre-order strategy. Put up the product, sell it before you have it. You are selling something you haven't even got yet. It's amazing. Tax and business structure. Very, very simple, and if you do your tax right, it can actually make you money. A lot of people find it boring, but if it makes you $8,000 a year, I can guarantee you're going to find tax a little bit more fun. So who here's heard of negative gearing in property before? For those who haven't, it's basically the taxman crediting you on the losses on your property. So, if you spend $3,000 a month on your mortgage repayments for your investment property and you only collect $2,500 on rent, the taxman goes, you're making a $500 loss per month, so we're going to give you that back in tax and credit you that $500 a month. Now, musicians can actually apply this strategy to their own business. So just like property investors negatively gear their properties, musicians can negatively gear their music business. There are 3 types of people when it comes to tax. The first are people who have no clue. The second are people who have some idea. This was probably me when I was 17, shoe boxes full of receipts, really gross. And people who love tax because it makes them money. So here are the things you can claim, which will mean you can get a lot of tax back. So if you have a bar job at the moment, or you're working any kind of job that gives you a salary or a wage, every time you get a paycheck, you're actually getting it minus the tax you've already paid. So if you start claiming all of these things on this list, at the end of the year, the tax man might give you most, if not all of that tax back. For the first 5-6 years of my career, this was one of the first few things I actually got right, and every tax year I would get 5, 6, 7 grand back into my account from my tax, and that can do a world of difference for your music career when you're starting out. If every 12 months you get a 7, 8k hit in your account. Right? So you can claim things like artist services, your car, travel, accommodation, if you pay your manager. If you have a home office where you work on your social media, or you have a home studio, you can claim a portion of your rent, your internet, your phone, anything. Most things you can claim. So talk to your accountant. There's very few things he'll say no to. Okay, onto reporting income. So these are the things we should be reporting as musicians. Anything like your APRA AMCOS income, any income you might get from syncs. If you're a manager and you collect management income, iTunes sales, show fees. If you teach singing lessons and guitar lessons and things like that. These are all things you should be reporting as part of your income as a musician. Now, onto tracking all this stuff. So we've learned what we should be claiming and what we should be reporting. How do we track it? And this is the really easy, free way to do it. So it's not 1987, so get yourself a smartphone. Download the Dropbox app on your phone. If you don't know what Dropbox is, It's basically like a USB stick in the sky. You can access it from any device at any time, and you can upload and download from your Dropbox account very easily. So you're going to create a folder in your Dropbox account with the financial year that you're in. For example, if it's 2016 and 2017, that's the folder you'll create. In that folder, you'll create two extra folders, an expense folder and an income folder. This is kind of how it'll look like. So once you're in your Dropbox account and then you've clicked your year, you'll see expenses and income, which is what you've created. If you're GST registered, you'll have folders split up by quarter. But if you're not, disregard that middle screenshot. Then on the far right screenshot, you will see your list of expenses and you'll have a folder for each expense you have created. Now, what you'll do is, let's say you're at the petrol station, you filled up your car, you got given a receipt, you will take a photo of that receipt and then you'll upload it directly to your car folder, and then you can chuck the receipt in the bin and forget about it. So it's very easy, very simple, very straightforward. Now, at the end of the year, all you have to do is right click on your year folder, click share link, and then send that link over to your accountant, and your accountant will do your whole tax return for you. Very simply, very easily, no fuss at all. Again, this system is free, it's very simple, very easy. If you want to use a more automated system, so you don't even have to take photos of receipts, you can use QuickBooks or Xero. They charge anywhere between $10 to $50 a month. I personally use QuickBooks, and this is basically people who have company accounts and company credit cards. For example, if you're at the petrol station and you pay for petrol on your company card, QuickBooks will automatically record that as a company expense, and you won't even have to keep the receipt. Okay, so here are the questions everyone should be asking their accountant. Now, if you write these down or you screenshot it, I don't care, but they're very important, so please take a note of it. I've actually fired about 3 accounts in the last 2 years, and so it's very important you're getting the right advice, and know you're getting the right advice by how many questions you ask. So, first question. I have a job and a music business. What is the best business set up to help me minimize my tax payable across both my music business and my job? When your accountant gives you the answer to this question, you ask why. What are the alternatives? Make sure your accountant explains things to you clearly and you understand them, so then you can make the decision. Your accountant often will just give you the same advice that they'll give your mum or your dad, and that's not the situation. We are musicians, or we are music managers with other streams of income. We need our accountant to think about us in a very tailored way. Next question is, what is the best structure to protect my personal assets against lawsuits? This webinar is all about increasing your income as a musician, and we'll explain how we're going to do that further on. But when that happens, you'll be surprised how many legal allegations and things come out of the woodworks. It's ridiculous. So you want to make sure that your house, your car, any of your personal assets aren't at risk if anything goes down. When I sign to a record label or a publishing company, should I sign the agreement in my own name or my company name, and why? Always ask your accountant why. Ask what the alternatives are, get him to explain it, and then make the decision yourself. On to the fun stuff, social media equity, step 3. So, think about your Facebook page. If you don't have a Facebook page, I don't know why you don't, so get yourself a Facebook page. First thing I want you to think about is, every time I post, what is the average likes per status that I get? So if you post 10 posts a week, are you on average getting 10 likes per status, 20 likes per status, 100, 10,000 likes per status? What results are you getting? The reason I ask you that question and make you think about that, and not ask you how many page likes you have in general or followers you have, is because likes per status or engagement, how many times people comment, share, retweet, whatever really, engage with that post, that tweet, that is what I call social media equity. When you get your social media equity up and through the roof, that's when the brand deals start falling out of the sky. The talent that I've worked with that have had strong social media equity have been earning $200,000 to $300,000 a year just off their social media accounts. There is a lot of money in getting your social media equity up, and anyone can do it. It's within everyone's control. When you get your social media equity up, suddenly you're starting to get asked to play all of the big shows as main support. Suddenly the festivals are hitting you up, and you are selling out your own shows. Really, things fall into place. You won't believe it, but commercial radio will start playing you. You have enormous social media equity, then commercial radio will want a piece of your audience, and they'll start playing your songs because they'll know people on your social media channels are going to start talking, retweeting, tweeting about their show, and they want that. So if you give commercial radio a strong social media following, they're going to flog your music. You'll start to sell merchandise, a lot of merchandise. You'll be able to predict your cash flow from merchandise income 6-12 months in advance, which can be very, very useful when planning your music business. You'll get high profile press for absolutely nothing. Some of my bands have had such a strong social media following that some singles I haven't even hired a publicist. And a publicist is somebody who gets you on TV, on radio, in blogs, in newspapers. And recently I had a band where I didn't hire a publicist. I had a radio plugger, so they went straight to radio, commercial radio as like a specialist sort of role. But in terms of the blogs and print and newspapers and things, I didn't even bother hiring a publicist. As soon as the band tweeted about a new song, we were in BuzzFeed, Girlfriend Magazine, Dolly Magazine, Sydney Morning Herald. We were all over the place without any publicist. And why is that the case? How did we get all that press for absolutely nothing without even anybody pitching? We had huge social media equity, enormous. So these publications need hits, and if they're talking about us and we can give them hits, they're going to write about us. So how do we do it? Let's get on to it. Everybody write this down or screenshot this. Facebook Blueprint. Facebook have developed a course that teach you how to manipulate their algorithm, right? If you want to get really big on Facebook, you need to use Facebook the way Facebook wants you to use it. And they've gone to the trouble of putting a whole course together to teach you how to do it. So please do this every 6 months. Now, as a very top line view, I'm going to tell you something you all know. You might have 1,000 Facebook fans following your page, but you might only end up reaching 50 to 100 people. Every time you post, it doesn't go to those full 1,000 people. And that's because Facebook kind of work like an onion. They send out to the first layer. Now, the first layer is what they call your most engaged audience. They say these are the 50 people that continue to like and comment and share your posts every time you post. Right? The people on the outer layer, they never really, when they see it, they don't really like and share, so we're not going to bother sending it to them. Now, if everybody in that first layer likes and shares and comments, then Facebook go, oh, great, that's really good content. Let's push it out. And they push it out to the next layer. They might go to the next 200-300 people, right? Then if everybody in that layer likes and shares and comments, they push it out further and further. And they keep going out as every layer likes and engaged until perhaps you're reaching 1 to 2, 3 million people a post. And that's what Chance was doing. He only had 13,000 people like his page, but we could consistently predict 1 to 3 million people reached on every post because he was able to create content that continued to push out the layers, right? So if you do that enough times, Facebook go, oh, maybe we misjudged this band. Maybe their most engaged audience is actually 5 layers deep. Maybe it's 600 people. So next time you post, if you do that enough, it's not going to send it out to that first layer like we originally had of 50 people. It's going to send it out to the 500-600 people. And so you're going to post and then boom, 500-600 people are going to get right away. So if you continue to push those layers and every post gets wider and wider and wider, Facebook will reassess your most engaged audience and send it out to a bigger audience straight away. The flip side to all this is that the reverse can happen. You continue to post terrible content and Facebook send it out to your 50 most engaged people and only 5 like it, and then you do that 5 or 6 times, Facebook are going to go, oh, maybe we misjudged this band, maybe only 5 people care about this band. So when you post in the future, they're going to shrink your circle and only send it out to those 5 people. And Facebook will continue shrinking your circle until all that is left is your mum. So it's very, very important we continue to post good content on Facebook, quality over quantity. We want to make sure everything we post hits those larger rings in the onion. Facebook don'ts. Do not do what everyone else is doing and expect it to work for you. So you're going to start studying the Facebook Blueprint course. You're going to read some social media blogs. You're going to really start to work on growing your audience. And if it doesn't work for you, you've got to realize that what works for everybody else might not work for you. For example, Chance Waters used to post big ass blocks of text with lots of swear words about very left-wing topics, and it really, really worked for him. The idiot manager I was at the time told him to post it with a photo or a video because that's what works best on Facebook, and every time he did that, his reach was reduced. And that's because his audience didn't want to be distracted from his core message. They actually just wanted to read what he said. They didn't care about all the photos and videos. That sort of took away from what they were there to see. So although the general rule for Facebook is to post content with photos and videos, it didn't work for him. So just be in tune with your audience and what's reacting with your own audience, and then monitor it. Every time you post something, go, why did that work? Why didn't that work? How can I improve it? And just study your own Facebook insights and your own Facebook strategy very meticulously, studying what works and what doesn't, and continue to adjust your strategy and adjust how you're speaking to your own audience. Never write the words like or share on your Facebook posts. You might get some short-term wins. You say share this post or like this post, and a few people do it, and you go, oh, you beauty, I've got a lot better reach and engagement this post. Facebook will bury you. They'll say you're cheating our system. We're going to shrink your reach in the future. So you'll get short-term gain and long-term pain. Do not do it. Facebook is a publicly listed company like other social media platforms are, but they want to make more money than anybody. So their view is if you're posting an ad on your Facebook page and you're not paying for advertising, then we're going to bury you. So don't do it. That's shows, album releases, merchandise, anything that looks like an ad where you're trying to get your followers to buy something or attend something or do something. Facebook are going to view that as an ad. So if you don't have money to boost that post, it is better that you don't post it than to post it, because all that's going to happen is Facebook won't send it to anybody and you're going to shrink your circle and you're not even going to get any sales anyway. So it's a lose, 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 lose. Just don't do it. Post it somewhere else. If you've got a good Twitter handle, you can post your ads there. If you've got a good mailing list, post your ads there. Don't do it on Facebook. Don't post YouTube or Snapchat links on your Facebook wall. Facebook is trying to take it to YouTube and they want to be the #1 video platform, and they're terrified of Snapchat, so don't do it. Don't even say the word Snapchat on your Facebook feed. It kills your reach. Don't keep posting the same content that doesn't react. If you keep posting cat photos and they keep flopping, don't keep posting cat photos. That's just silly. You can't expect to do the same thing in your music career or your online strategy or your life in general and expect different results. If you ask yourself, are you happy with the last 2 years of your music career? If the answer is no, then you need to change something. You need to do something. And that's the same with your Facebook and online strategy. If you're not happy with the last 2 years of your life, you need to change things up and learn and study and grow and invest in your education. And that's what you guys are doing now. So well done. Don't keep posting the same thing if it doesn't work. Now on the flip side, if you're posting a lot of cat photos and they're working, I hate to say it, keep posting cat photos. So just look at your own content, look at your own strategy, keep doing and improving what's working, and stop doing what isn't. One question I get a lot is, well, it seems like I've killed my reach and I've been posting bad content and I'm down to just posting to my mum. Do I need to delete my Facebook page and start again? No, absolutely not. Just start posting good content again and start creeping out the onion. You can recover from anywhere. You just got to reboot and go, okay, from today, I'm only going to start posting good content until I slowly get to the outer layers of the onion. On to YouTube. Now, this is if you want to build a social media equity base on YouTube. Now, a lot of bands just use YouTube as like a video database where they plonk all their video clips up there and they link their fans to those videos. That's fine if that's all you want it to be, but if you want to build real social media equity on YouTube, you need to treat it like a social media platform. And YouTube is all about watch time. It's actually not about view count. So what that means is if you've got a video with 1 million views and you've got a video with 10,000 views and people are watching the 10,000 view video for 2 or 3 minutes, yet they're only watching a few seconds of the 1 million view video, YouTube are going to like the 10,000 view video more, and they're going to push that out to their recommended videos and their most watched and all that sort of stuff. So watch time is key. So how do we get more watch time? One of the tricks is to make your thumbnails all look alike. So this is Simone Yacht, who I manage, who's a very clever and funny inventor out of Sweden, now living in San Francisco. And if you see what we've done here, we've sort of made all her thumbnails look very similar. You know, her face is on all of them and the same sort of fonts and colors. So if somebody's watching The Breakfast Machine and they like that, they're going to see the Wake Up Machine catch their eye on the side of the video and they're going to be like, oh, okay, and they're going to watch that too. So what we're doing is we're increasing the watch time across our whole channel and keeping them caught in our ecosystem. And that's key to increasing your equity on YouTube. The other way to do it is to capture people like almost like bait into your channel, is to unfortunately use a clickbait strategy. Now, I don't actually use this strategy because I think it's part of the problem, but it is best practice on the platform. Now, Philip DeFranco, one of my favorite YouTubers, does this very well. If you look at the screenshot bottom left-hand corner, he's got a title, a clickbait title that says, guess how big boobs got this woman banned from ... and then in the screenshot, he's got a photo of big boobs. Now, obviously, like, it's terrible, right? But it works. If you look at his video, it's a 9-minute and 20-second video, and you click it and you watch it, you'll notice that story probably only goes for about 10-15 seconds. And I'm pretty sure he only talked about that story in the video simply to pull out the clickbait. Now he does that very, very well. My brother manages quite a big YouTuber who does a lot of vlogging. All the content is pretty much the same, every video he uploads. And they've noticed that however interesting the thumbnail and the title is, almost doubles or triples his views. And it's pretty much the same content. His videos aren't dramatically better or worse from video to video. He's just vlogging, talking about his day, talking about his life, but it all depends on the title and thumbnail. So keep that in mind if you want to capture more of an audience. So, the absolute key to increasing your watch time on YouTube is to really study how people engage with your videos. So, if you go into the Creator Studio on YouTube, anyone with a YouTube channel can see this graphic. It's basically your audience retention image. So, everyone look at audience retention. You go to Creator Studio, you go to your insights, and then you click on audience retention. So, this is one of Simone's videos. Again, one of the girls that I manage. Now, I looked at her audience retention and I noticed we obviously had 100% of people watching her video at the very start. And then you can see this huge immediate drop off, and it keeps going down and down and down until we get this spike just after halfway. Now, as a manager, what am I thinking? I need to know what is happening there in the middle that's dropping down, we're losing all that audience, and then what happens at that spike. Because if I can work out what type of content we're doing with our video that's causing the drop, and also what content is causing the spike, I can then change the way I edit my future videos to increase that watch time so we don't get as big of a drop off, and maybe even increase the overall average of watch time across the whole bar. So, when we did that, we noticed that during the drop, it was when Simone was talking about how she built her invention. So Simone builds funny robots that do funny things. She's known on the internet as the queen of shitty robots. So we worked out that the audience dropped off as she was describing her builds, what parts she used, how she put it together, etc., etc. Then I was like, okay, well then what's the spike then? And we noticed the spike came just as her alarm was about to slap her in the face. So she invented the wake up machine. It's an alarm clock that slaps you in the face in the morning. So what the audience wanted is they wanted to see the robot in action more, and they were less interested in the build. Now, moving forward, what we did was we slightly reduced the amount of time that Simone talked about the build, but then we also showed screenshots of the robot in action as she was talking about the build. So we introduced the robot in action a lot earlier in the video and littered it through Simone's build section. So what we saw is we still saw a bit of a drop off, but the drop off was inverted and it didn't drop off nearly as far, and the spike ended up being a lot higher. So we almost quadrupled her watch time, not changing the type of content that she's doing, but just changing the way we edited it. And that's what's very important as a manager. You critically analyze the results of how you edit and what kind of things that you do. So remember, as a musician, you can be doing things like video blogs, behind the scenes, tour diaries, games, Q&As, even just reporting on news or whatever the hell you want to do on your YouTube channel. This is using it like a social media platform, not as a video database for all your film clips. Okay, screenshot this, write it down, whatever you need to do. This is YouTube best practice. 1. Keep the thumbnails looking all the same. 2. I don't practice what I preach here, but clickbait titles or thumbnails. I don't do it because I hate it, but it is the best thing to do if you want to maximize your views. Now remember, YouTube want to be a social media platform. They don't want to be a video database. So use it like YouTube wants you to use it. Go and comment on other people's videos. Reply to comments on your own videos. If you're a metal band, for example, and another local metal band has just released a video clip, go and post something interesting, insightful, encouraging, controversial on their comment section, and then people will reply to you, like your comments. If it's good enough, you'll be the #1 comment on their video clip, and then you'll see a lot of flow on traffic come from that. Adapt keywords to current affairs. This is basically the keyword section in your YouTube video. If your audience is similar to One Direction, and One Direction have just released a new single, tag that new One Direction single in your YouTube tags, so when people are searching for One Direction, they're more likely to see your video come up in the search. A good example of this is my band Mind Over Matter released a song with Page 4 a few years ago. Since then, Page 4 has featured on a massive platinum single with LDRU. And so what the band did was they went back and they edited the tags in that original Page 4 video, and they included all the same tags that LDRU used. And then what happened is we saw a spike in referral views from the LDRU video. Awesome. Remember, on YouTube, subscriptions are king. So you'll notice with most YouTube channels, 60 to 70% of your views actually come from your subscribers. Right? Every time you release a video, your subscribers get a notification. It ends up on their feed. Subscribers are king. So as a manager, what do you want to focus on getting? More subscribers, of course. So if you need to do call to actions at the end of every video, go, hey, remember to subscribe to my channel. You need to tweet out, subscribe to my channel. You need to do whatever you can to get subscribers. That's the most important thing. Work out the best way to do it and do it. Okay, we all know video strategy is king. I recently got flown out to a YouTube Global Business Summit. Basically, it was every YouTube staff member in the world got flown to LA to talk about their company and how they can grow it and how they can change and what they're doing great and what they're not doing so great. There were 3 people at the Global Business Summit that weren't YouTube staff. It was myself, it was Simone, and it was Mark Cuban, famous entrepreneur. Now, so something interesting happened there. After many drinks, a very high ranking staff member told me confidentially at the bar that YouTube is terrified of Snapchat. They said that they're their biggest threat. He didn't say it was Facebook, he didn't say it was Twitter, he didn't say it was Vine, he said it was Snapchat. So, as a band, as a manager, what are you thinking about Snapchat knowing that information? If you're not on Snapchat, you better have a damn good reason why. It is a massively growing platform that YouTube is terrified of. Now, look at Facebook Live. If you don't know what Facebook Live is, it's basically a live stream straight to your Facebook page. So you can launch a Facebook Live video from your phone and your audience will see exactly what you're recording as you're recording it. Facebook really love Facebook Live. They want to be the forefront of live streaming. So if you want to appease the Facebook algorithms and maximize your reach, what should you be doing? Facebook Live, absolutely. Mark Cuban was on stage at the YouTube Global Business Summit, actually, and he said, I can reach thousands of people doing shit all instantly. Can't do that on YouTube. So what he was saying was, Facebook push Facebook Live so strongly. So you'll notice even, you probably got notifications on your own page that this person is now live or this person was live. That's because Facebook are pushing live, pushing live, pushing live. YouTube don't have that same emphasis, or if they do, they're not doing it nearly as well. So Facebook Live is key for Facebook. Now this top right hand corner logo is Periscope. It's basically exactly the same as Facebook Live, but just for Twitter, it's owned by Twitter. So if you have a massive Twitter audience, you would be using Periscope over Facebook Live. That was certainly the case with Little C. Our Facebook wasn't that great, but our Twitter was off the hook, and so I used to use Periscope a lot. An example of something I did on Periscope was I would film the guys backstage doing push-ups, psyching each other up. I would continue the live stream as they walked backstage corridors. They would get on stage, the girls would start screaming. As soon as they would play the first note on the guitar, I'd cut off the live stream. The Little C fans did not like me very much, but that proved very effective. Obviously, we spoke about YouTube, and I've got a little crown over the YouTube logo, and that's because YouTube is king at the moment. So what that means is, right now, if you have an audience of 100,000 and you can choose anywhere you want them to live, so you want them to live on Snapchat, you want them to live on Twitter, you want them to live on Facebook, where do you want your 100,000 people? Right now, you want them to be on YouTube, because the money you can make from YouTube subscribers are tenfold what you would make from other platforms. So to give you an example, Chance Waters was reaching 3 times the audience on Facebook that some of the YouTubers that I manage are on, right? The YouTubers that I manage make easily 8 times the amount Chance was making, right? Chance was still getting a few $100,000 brand deals here and there, and that was making really good money, and as I mentioned, he's been living off music even though he stopped it for a few years. But the YouTube guys are making 8 times that amount at least, just because their audience is on YouTube. Brand advertisers love YouTube. It represents a real value to them. Now, normally we don't really speak about Instagram, but the recent changes warrant a discussion. So, Instagram used to just be a chronological order feed. You see the most recent photo first, and then as you scroll down, you see older photos. But like Facebook, they've introduced an algorithm. And how it works is, Instagram will show you the photo of the account you like the most. So, if I'm a big Hilltop Hoods fan, but for some reason I'm not really liking their photos because I just scroll past them subliminally and I don't really pay attention to them, but every time I see my wife's photo, I like my wife's photo, next time I open my Instagram app, my wife's photos are going to be at the very top. And then as I scroll down, it'll show me the people that I like the most second and that I like the most third, etc., etc., etc. So what does this mean if you're an artist or a band or a brand? You want to make sure that every photo you post on Instagram gets a like. It needs to be striking, it needs to be engaging. Don't post something that people are going to subliminally scroll past. It won't be a diss, it's a busy feed, that's the way they do it. They just scroll, and when they see something, they stop and like it. Make sure you're not posting a photo that somebody won't stop and like. Otherwise, no one's going to see your photos. Okay, that was a lot to digest. Now, over the next 6 months, you might start really working on everything you learn here, right? Obviously, think to yourself, if you didn't do this webinar, how long would it have taken you to learn or figure this all out yourself? Would just say like, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. Of course, it would have taken you that long with trial and error. And it's really good that you guys have invested in your education, because now you've just learnt this in the space of half an hour and you're going to really be ahead of the game. Now, in 6 months' time, a year's time, 2 years' time, however long it takes, you might message me and you might go, hey Luke, guess what? I built an empire. My social media is popping. I've been locking in brand deals left, right, and center. My shows are going off the hook. I'm getting invited to all these festivals. And I'd be really proud of you and really excited, right? Then in 6 months' time, I might check back on you, and then all your social media equity is dead. Now, why do you think that would have been the case? If you just kept doing the same things you learned on this webinar, why would suddenly you go from hero to zero? It's because the algorithms change all the damn time. You can't be a social media expert for longer than 6 months, and that's the hard truth, right? I've been contracted as a social media expert on a couple of occasions, and quite often I'm reaching millions of people when I start, and I'm reaching millions of people when I end my contract, and my strategy at the start and strategy at the end are completely different because I'm adapting to the social media algorithm changes, right? How do we keep up to date with the social media changes? Write these links down, screenshot it, whatever you need to do. These are the websites that I follow to make sure I'm up to date with all the changes. Now, to be honest, I don't actually go to these links. I just go and I follow them all on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, blah, 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 just to make sure if there ever is an update, I get it straight away. So Social Media Examiner might go, new changes to the Facebook algorithm where they're now punishing clickbait titles. So I click that. I understand that Facebook are now burying news stories with clickbait titles, and I know to never post them anymore, right? Now, if clickbait titles were a big part of your strategy and you weren't aware of that change, and you've built your most engaged circle out to 10,000 people, in the space of a month, it might shrink down to 100. It's very important that you're up to date on this. And that's a true change, actually. It just happened recently with Facebook. Tracking your equity. You built your empire and now you want to monitor it. Screenshot or write this down. These are the things that I use. Nextbigsound.com. It's kind of like a triage of your social media. So I'll get an email every week of all the social media accounts that I manage and follow, of all the bands and all the artists I work with, and it'll say things like Twitter up, Instagram down, Facebook down, and it just sort of gives me a snapshot of what's working and what's not, and then I can quickly jump on it if there's an issue, or maybe jump on it if something's going crazy and I want to work out why. Analytics.twitter.com. This used to only be for verified accounts. Now it's available to everyone. Work out what tweets are working, what tweets aren't working, what time they're working, who's following you, who has a massive following. Because if you've got a follower with a huge following, what should you be doing? Engaging with them, talking to them, retweeting them, building a relationship. Absolutely. Keyhole.co is how I track hashtags. As I mentioned before, Little C have trended around the world over 50 times, and this is what I use to work out who's tweeting, how often they're tweeting, where they're tweeting from, how frequently they're tweeting, all that sort of stuff. I just really learn the behaviors of our hashtags and hashtag users. Facebook Insights. Everybody has access to this. This is what you need to live in when building your social media equity on Facebook. Monitor what posts are working, what aren't working, what times they're best to post. Really live and study Facebook Insights. It's very important. Creator Studio is the screenshot that I showed you before of Simone, where you can look at the audience retention and monitor how you're editing your videos. Instagram. Simply Measured, Square Lovin', Union Metrics. There's a bunch of third-party Instagram analytics you can use, although most recently Instagram have now released native analytics, so you can actually check in analytics from within the Instagram app, which is awesome, and I'm loving it. And to be honest, I've stopped using these third-party analytics because the Instagram analytics are getting really good. Here's an example of what you can do on Facebook Insights immediately, and it's super easy, right? So here's a screenshot of the Mind Over Matter Insights page. This is kind of the time that their audience is online, right? Not the time that they engage with the post, but the time that they're online. So we'll see that at about midnight on the far left, there's a little bit of a peakish, I guess, and then it drops off dramatically till it sort of hits about 9 a.m. and then it slowly climbs again. And then the real peak happens at 7 p.m. So, if I'm a manager for Mind Over Matter and I'm planning our social media strategy and rollout and when we should be posting, what time do you think I'm going to be posting? 7 p.m. Super easy and a really simple trick to maximize your chance of growing your most engaged circle on Facebook. Okay, so that was social media equity. I hope you all continue to invest in your education, invest in your own study of your own success on social media, work out what works, work out what doesn't, and then the success will come. You'll be so surprised how quickly you'll start making money once your social media equity is working. Now, step 4, labels and publishing. So, the question I always get is, how do I get a label deal? How do I get a publishing deal? And I answer that question the way I answer any business relationship question, really. And that's if you give somebody else what they want, they will give you what you want. So that brings us to the next question. What do record labels want? Now, record labels make money by selling records. So if you can prove to a record label that you can sell records, then you will get a massive record deal. And that's how I've done it with all of my artists. I rarely go to a record label and try to get a deal before the band is already selling a bucket load of records first. And that's because I get a much better deal when that happens. Now, how do you sell a bucket load of records? Well, what have we been talking about for the last hour? Social media equity. You build up your social media equity, you will sell records in your sleep. It's very, very easy. Now, there's also another way, a more speculative way, of making a label believe that you will eventually be able to sell records. Right? So if a record label will think that you can sell a lot of records in the future, yeah, they'll sign you early. So a friend of mine recently signed his artist to a massive independent, and it was a big, big deal here in Australia with an artist that had 100 Facebook likes, no, not even a Twitter account, I don't think, and hadn't even really released an EP or anything, just sort of one single. The way they did the press shots, the way they released the song and who featured on the song and how they got it produced and mixed and the publicists they employed and the blogs that they secured made the artist seem really mysterious, really cool, high quality, and the labels got really, really interested because they were like, whoa, who is this artist? What's going on here? And then they got a bucket load of offers from around the world with that one song. And it was a really, really interesting strategy they employed, and they pulled it off in an awesome way. But you know what? If it didn't work for them, they would have just gone the social media equity strategy. But that actually was something they decided they were going to do early, and they did it, and they nailed it. Right? And we'll break down exactly how he did that at our 2-day seminar, which we'll tell you a bit about later. Publishing. So, again, what do publishers want? You want a publishing deal? What do they want? Let me explain to you what publishing is quickly, because like I said, a lot of people don't know what publishing is, even people that work at publishing companies. So, there are two parts of a song. There's the recording. So if you're an artist and you're playing your guitar and singing into a microphone, that's the recording of the song, and that's what the record labels sell. That's what you put up on iTunes, right? Then you've got the songwriting part. So that's not the recording, that's just you writing the song. It doesn't matter who releases it, that's the songwriting part, right? The songwriting part is what the publishers are interested in. So they're the publishing side, the songwriting side. The recording side is the record label side. Right? So, publishers make money when a CD is sold because the record label has to pay a royalty to the publisher every CD sold, every time the song's played on radio, and if there's ever a massive sync, right? So, what do publishers want? They want hit writers because they don't necessarily care that it's you releasing the songs, and for most Australian artists it is the case. They write the songs and then they release them, but they don't care if you release it or not. They just want the hit song, and then they can get somebody else to release it, or you might write for somebody else and they might release it and it might be a huge song, right? They want hit songs. They want the song smashed on radio. They want a lot of records sold, and when those things happen, usually the big syncs come, which are TV ads, movies, etc., etc. So, there are two ways you can get a publishing deal. Again, one that's within your control and one which is a bit more speculative. The one that is within your control is actually getting a hit song. Now, you might say, Luke, that's ridiculous. You can't control that. I say wrong. As an artist, you might not be able to control that, but as a songwriter, you absolutely can swing the odds in your favor. If you are writing with other artists 4-5 times a week, and you're writing, at the end of the year, you write with maybe 30 different artists, I can guarantee you the odds of one of those artists getting a Triple J hit or getting a commercial radio hit away are a lot higher than if you only wrote with yourself. You write with enough people, enough unknowns, enough well-knowns, just write with whoever you can write. Someone is eventually going to get a song away, and if you have a cut on that record, you write half of that song with that person, and you own half the publishing, you can go to a publisher and go, hear that song on Triple J that's banging away? I wrote half that song. If you're a recording artist and your own song gets smashed on Triple J, you can go to a publisher and go, hear that song on Triple J? Yeah, it's mine, but I also write it. I'm a hit writer. Right? And then you'll start to get some publishing deals. So if you want a publishing deal, start co-writing. Co-writing is king. Co-write with as much people as you can. The other more speculative way is the kind of the way the band The Script got a publishing deal. So they actually wrote their debut record completely as songwriters. They didn't even intend to be a band, and they submitted it to a publisher, and they said, look, we don't actually have any hits, but if you listen to all these songs that we wrote, they are hits. Anyone could release these songs and they would be smashes. And the person at the publishing company listened to those songs and agreed with them and signed them right away. Now, eventually, they just decided to release all the songs themselves and proved to be right. They were hits, but that wasn't the original way that The Script intended to be a band. They just wanted to be a songwriting team. Now, if you listen to that first record, the first Script record, you will hear that it's, regardless of what you think of the genre or the style of music, it's all killer, no filler. Every song is magic and perfectly written. Again, that's the more speculative way to get a publishing deal. If you want a publishing deal and you're not successful approaching publishers with the songs you've currently written, start co-writing like a maniac. That's within everyone's control. You can go and hit up artists on Triple J Unearthed, other Grow My Music students, and we'll tell you how to connect into the Grow My Music family at the end. It's very, very easy. Okay, we're running out of time here, so I'll be quick. How do I get a booking agent? Booking agents earn 10% of every dollar you make live. If you sell a ticket for $10, they make $1. If you get a festival booking for $10,000, they get $1,000. So, what do booking agents want? They want somebody who can sell tickets. So, if you want a booking agent and no one's answering your calls, what do you need to do? Sell out a show. How did a 17-year-old Egyptian rapper kid from Sydney with absolutely no skills sell out the Annandale Hotel 3 times, sell out the Oxford Art Factory twice? It wasn't because of the music. I can guarantee you my music was terrible, right? I implemented some really easy, simple strategies, and I sold out those rooms, and then I had all the booking agents asking to book me. If you guys go out and sell out your local venue tomorrow, I can guarantee you every agent will want to take you. You go out and sell out the Workers Club in Melbourne. You go out and sell out the Oxford Art Factory in Sydney. You go and sell out Transit Bar in Canberra. Wherever you are, pick the venue that people play out and sell it out. Suddenly you're going to get every agent wanting to work with you. We'll teach you how to do that at the 2-day seminar, but it's very, very easy. I don't care if you don't have any friends at all. We can teach you how to sell out a room. Step 5, contracts. Okay, this is the unfortunate necessary evil of the music business. You don't pay to get these contracts done, you are going to murder your career down the track, and I can guarantee you that. It is going to really, really hurt you. I'll give you an example. These prices here are all just prices you would call up a law firm, ask them to write you a contract, they would charge you this fee, right? And I have paid for every single one of them, and not one of them was a waste of money. I spoke a lot about how I've wasted money early on in the webinar. This was not one of those times. If you do not do this, you are going to cost yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's look at the performance contract as an example. Mind Over Matter wrote a song with a friend of theirs, and it ended up being a Triple J hit, right? Now, a lot of artists only get one hit in their career. Right? It's very important that you have a performance contract in place, because when that hit comes, things are going to get very complicated for you if it's not there, right? Now, this was a friend of theirs, and they all agreed on a fee, a split of the co-write. It was all pre-agreed, and it was all very fair. This girl was unknown, she had no manager, and so the band were very generous to her and looked after her as friend, right? All agreed, it was all fine. They signed off on the performance contract and it was done. Then the song became a Triple J hit, and suddenly all the managers jumped out of the woodworks wanting to manage this girl, and she picked a manager and she signed to that manager. Now, the manager wanted to come in and stick his chest out and prove his worth, right? So he started saying, the terms aren't fair, we need to change the terms, blah, 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 and he just started to get really sort of aggressive. Now, I engaged the manager in a conversation explaining that they were fair, it's pre-agreed, blah, 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 and then he started threatening to take down the song off iTunes. Now, if the song came down off iTunes and the charts dropped off, you can bet radio would have stopped playing it too. He also threatened to stop a sync. We had a $50,000 sync for a TV ad on the table that were about to close, and he was like, I'm not going to approve that sync unless you change the agreements of the splits and the fee. Right? He started to really jeopardize all of this. So you can imagine if you're a band who's been working for 8 years and you finally get your first radio hit going, and somebody's going to come in and just take over $50,000 with all the radio royalties and sales, nearly $100,000 of income completely off the table, that would have been really traumatic, right? That would have been really shattering. But because the boys and myself had invested $1,000 when we were 17 in a performance contract, we had that template. She signed that agreement, and at that point in the argument with the manager, I just sent him the attached signed contract, and it was done. He couldn't do anything anymore. Now, I have a good friend at Media Arts Lawyer who represents me on all of my stuff, and every time I have coffees with him, he's always telling me about some massive sync deal worth hundreds of thousands of dollars which has been stopped, abolished, cancelled because somebody didn't have a performance or co-write agreement in place. These things you pay once and you have them for the rest of your career. They're a template. Every time you write a song with somebody, you just change the title of the song, you change the percentages, and then you sign it off and it's done. You can understand that $1,000 is small fry to what will come in the future. If you're serious about your music, it is a very small speck in the ocean. People will spend $2,000 on a film clip that goes nowhere, but won't spend $1,000 protecting their business. Management contracts are $2,000. If you sign with an established manager, the manager will pay for that cost. It won't be on you. You might have to come up with $800 or something to get a lawyer to look over it for you. The band agreement contract is extremely crucial. So if you're in a band and you don't have a band agreement in place, you are asking for massive trouble, right? And it's not that you are not going to be friends forever and you're going to fight and break up. It's that it predicts the unforeseen circumstances. So for example, if one of the band members wanted to have kids and stop touring, the band agreement would explore what that looks like. The band doesn't need to break up. It's all pre-agreed. If one band member wanted to leave the group, what would that look like? If the band wanted to bring in a new member, what would that look like? It really unpacks it, and you can imagine how many fights this stops, how much it protects the brand and the band and everything against any future unforeseen circumstances. You're about to invest tens of thousands of dollars in your music career as a band. You don't put $2,000 in to really unpack the business relationship. You are stupid. And I'm sorry if that sounded a bit rude, but you actually are. You wouldn't buy a car without car insurance. I don't know why you would start a whole venture and something so big like a new band and not spend a couple of grand making sure everybody is agreed on every possible path that can possibly be taken. Again, it's a one-off fee and you can appropriate it for your band, and any lawyer will do it for you. Show booking contracts you won't need if you have an agent, but if you don't have an agent and you're booking shows here and there, you'll need a contract like this to send to venues and to bookings and all that sort of stuff. Again, every dollar of this I spend and every dollar of this has paid me back tenfold. You are stupid if you do not do it. Actually, you know what? You're not stupid if you don't do it. You're just not serious about your music. I can't stress how important these things are enough. Step 6 is getting the right team around your music and your band. Has anybody read Rich Dad Poor Dad or heard of Robert Kiyosaki before? If not, I really recommend going reading those books. They are life-changing books about business, right? Robert Kiyosaki has an amazing quote. He says, if you're the smartest person in your team is in trouble. Don't be the smartest person in your team. Like I said, I just signed a deal with a venture capital firm, and I am by far the stupidest person in that office. By a long, long way. And it's honestly the best way to be. That's the only way to learn. That's the only way to grow. My music career started to really move when I started to have a network around me. Like-minded musicians in a similar spot, musicians with slightly different experiences than me, and I actually got some mentors. So it's really, really important you build a good team around you. So McDonald's has a process of getting the cow to the belly, and that's hard for me to say as a vegetarian, but it works, and they make a lot of money doing it. Successful musicians have the same process. They know exactly what they're doing to get their music out to as many people as possible, and in the right light and in the right way, with the least amount of money spent. This is why we started the Grow My Music Partners list. Why did I spend and waste maybe $10,000 on terrible publicists early in my career who spent more time invoicing me than they did getting me good press? Why did my friend lose $50,000 early in his career on the same thing? Bad publicists, bad producers, just doing silly things. This is what everybody goes through as a musician when they first start out. They don't know who the right people to work with, they don't know who to contact, and that's why at Grow My Music we've started a partners list. We only have quality. We know the right lawyers to hit up, we know the right producers to work with, we know the right publicists, people who are going to work really hard for you and not take your money and underdeliver. You can go on Google and find a publicist, find a producer, find graphic designers, and you're going to waste a lot of money and spend 5 or 6 years going through it like everybody else has. Grow My Music has developed a list to cut that out and leapfrog that so you don't have to waste all that money. It takes you straight to the effective contacts. And not only that, we've actually spoken to everyone on the Grow My Music partners list, and because you guys will be Grow My Music students, they'll actually offer you a discount on their services as well. So not only are you getting high quality contacts, you're also getting a discount, which is a bit crazy and a bit awesome. The good versus the bad. This is what we're talking about when we say good contacts, Grow My Music partners list versus bad contacts, not on Grow My Music partners list. For example, anyone can find a publicist on Google, right? You go and ask anyone in the music industry what percentage of publicists in the industry are good, right? Go and ask. Next time you're at a Big Sound or any of these music summits or whatever, or anyone you know who's experienced in music, ask them this question: how many music publicists in Australia are good as a percentage? I would be surprised if anybody says higher than 10%. I actually really think only 2% of publicists in Australia are any good, right? So if you're going to go out and book a publicist, in my opinion, you have a 98% chance of wasting your money on a bad publicist or a publicist that won't do the right job for you, right? Campaigns can cost anywhere between $1,000 and $6,000 a song. So you don't want to be wasting that money, and you will, and everybody does until they find the right people to work with, and that's what we're working with. Alright, let's recap. Step 1, marketing, digital marketing, network marketing, no capital strategies, tax and business structures, social media equity, contracts, record and publishing deals, and your network and team. The last thing which I promised is education, and I've sort of hinted it a long way through the webinar. I cannot tell you how important education is. I honestly spend about $4,000 or $5,000 a year just on seminars, books, webinars, whatever I can get my hands on. I just invest in my education. I also invest a lot of time. Even though I'm not spending money sometimes, I'm actually investing a lot of time. So I'm reading blogs, I'm reading articles, I'm studying algorithms. I'm investing both my time and my money in my education. This is how I am ahead of the game, and this is how everybody else is playing catch up to my strategies. So, when you leave this webinar, you will know a lot more than when you started, right? But it's been a lot of information to take in, and some of you might be overwhelmed, but what can you do about it? Is it okay if I show you a fast and easy way to implement everything you learned today and really get an engine behind your process? So this is why we have our Grow My Music seminar and online course. So basically, we're just going to give you the skills and all the tools you need to go out and achieve what you want to achieve out of your music. So real advice, no nonsense, no follow your dreams. We've got real practical information that's going to help you start making money off your music. And there's no assessments. No, we give you all the tools. You go out, you can learn at your own pace. You can watch it on your phone. We have a really cool app. And then also, obviously, the 2-day seminar, which is a face-to-face intensive boot camp almost. So, pick what you want. If you want to come to the 2-day seminar, awesome. If you want to do the online course, study on your phone, study on your laptop, whatever is your best method to absorb the information, we have that option for you. So if you do the online course and you feel like that's the best method for you to learn, you can do that on the bus, on the way to work, on the way to school, on the way to band practice. You can do it in your bed. You can do it. The app is really good, and it's almost like bite-sized learning. So whenever you have a moment, you just absorb the information and you move on. It's actually just super adaptable to how you like to learn and when you have time to learn. And so what do you do if you want to do both? Well, Grow My Music has you covered there. If you elect for the online course, you'll actually get a free ticket to the 2-day seminar. So you'll get all the information at your fingertips, and then you can go and see it in the flesh at the 2-day seminar. Now, the information is pretty much the same, but it's just, again, a different way of teaching and a different way of learning. So whatever you feel is the best way for you to learn is the way you should do. Vice versa as well. If you buy a ticket to the 2-day seminar, you'll also get the online course straight away at your fingertips. With this Grow My Music seminar or online course, you'll be able to increase your fan base, artist profile, songwriting catalog, and income as a musician a lot faster than if you don't do it. It is a step-by-step instruction on how to implement our tried and proven strategy starting from today. So I think everybody will agree that if you didn't do this webinar, you would be years behind what you would be doing now that you've watched it. So, if you do the 2-day seminar or the online course, what do you think you're going to get out of it? We're going to cover 45 ways to make money as musicians. We're going to teach you 10 essential steps to sell out your shows. How did I sell out all those venues as a young kid with no musical ability whatsoever? We're going to teach you how to do that. We're going to teach you how to avoid expensive and stupid mistakes everyone in the music industry makes. Bar none, everyone makes them. This is again what brought me to Grow My Music. We're trying to change that. And how to get more radio play. We're going to teach you how to effectively increase your publishing catalog. We're going to teach you highly effective social media strategies beyond what we've taught you today, and I think you'll agree you have learned a lot. We're going to teach you a marketing strategy that 1% of large corporate businesses use, which is 49% more effective than front-end Facebook advertising. So this is what the Apples of the world use. This is what the Sony Music of the world use. This is what these big companies use that is far more effective than just boosting your Facebook post. And we're going to teach you that. And it's so easy. It's not even that hard. And we're going to teach you. We'll teach you all about digital distribution. You'll get expert advice from accountants and lawyers to really teach you all about what you need to know and apply it to your music. And you'll also hear from multi-platinum selling artists discussing specific things about how they got to where they are. And again, none of this is airy-fairy and like chase your dreams, right? At Grow My Music, we already assume you're chasing your dreams and trying to write a hit song and all of that. These are very specific, practical strategies. Bring your laptop with you. You're going to need it. Anyone who signs up to the Grow My Music seminar or online course will get full email support for 12 months. So if you have a sporadic question, you shoot it through to us and we'll respond to you. You'll get the Grow My Music partners list, which we mentioned. This will save you tens of thousands of dollars, and we've compiled it, and you know you're going to only get the goods. You're not going to get anyone that's going to waste your time and money and energy and blood, sweat, and tears. It's only going to be highly recommended people, and they're going to offer you a discount. So again, here's what you're going to get. If you come to our 2-day workshop, you're going to get the 2 days with us. So you've spent just over an hour with us on this webinar. If you found it valuable, imagine what 2 extra days will do. When you sign up, you get the online course instantly, and you also get a free ticket to the 2-day seminar should you wish to attend. You're going to get full email support for 12 months, and you're going to get the Grow My Music partners list, which shows you everyone you need to work with. Here is a Grow My Music student who's already joined the program. He's a rapper from Melbourne called Marcus Cooper. And he used the Grow My Music partners list to find the right producers and the right engineers and get his songs to a really worldwide standard quite cheaply. So my music has never sounded anything close to this good before. Within 2 weeks of signing up to Grow My Music, I found myself working with one of my idols and we created a huge single. Amazing. 96% of musicians don't live off their music. If you don't do anything like social media, remember what I said, if you keep posting the same stuff and you expect different results, you're an idiot. So if you're happy with the last year or 2 years of your music career, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not and you keep doing what you're doing, what are you? I didn't say it. But you guys have already taken a huge investment in your career. You've sat this webinar, you've learned so much more. You can imagine how many musicians out there would be too lazy and too disinterested to invest in their education, sit down and listen to a webinar like this and really learn and leapfrog themselves. Just have a think about yourself. Have a think how long it would have taken you to learn what you learned today, and visualize how different your next 12 months are going to be as you start to implement what you learned today. Anyone that signs up to the 2-day seminar, we're going to reward you with some awesome bonuses, right? We're going to give you a social media cheat sheet, right? This is what I use with all my bands, and whenever I'm contracted as a social media expert, this is what I use. Again, it'll save you time, it will make sure that you're doing the right thing on each platform, and it'll increase your engagement really quickly. You'll also get a 1-hour industry consultation. So often people's biggest complaint about the music industry is that they can't talk to somebody at a record label or a publishing company, or they can't get in front of a manager, and they can't pick someone's brain. Well, again, Grow My Music is aiming to solve that problem. So think about it. If you could meet anybody in the music industry, who would you want to meet? If you'd want to meet somebody at a record label, we can organize you a consultation with somebody at a record label. If you want to meet a manager, if you want to meet an artist, if you want to meet an engineer, we'll get you in a room with those people, right? We call it 1 hour. It's a very loose hour. It might go for 2 hours. It might go for 45 minutes. That's kind of up to you and the person. But what we can do is guarantee you to get into a room with somebody. Now, we've had some students meet with a publisher. Although the publisher didn't sign that student got a whole bunch of writing sessions out of it because the publisher was like, "You're not ready yet, but hey, I'd love to get you in a room with these people." And that was awesome. The third bonus is that you get access to all of these masterclasses: hit writing, engineering and production, music business and management, legal, musician accounting, how to master your live show. When we have absolute experts teaching, and you'll break out with an expert in any of these topics, and you'll be able to really pick their brain and work through them in a breakout class. Sign up today. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get access to the online course instantly and a ticket to the 2-day seminar. You're going to get the Grow My Music Partners list. You're going to get 12 months unlimited email access and support. You're going to get the social media cheat sheet, you're going to get the industry consultation, and you're going to get access to all 6 masterclasses. As you can see, this value is over $9,000. So, can you get all of that information and all of those opportunities any other way? If you can, I encourage you to do it. So yes, I guess one way is you could go to a lawyer and get them to draft you all those contracts over time. It would cost you about $8,000, as I paid for and as most managers have paid for by themselves. And in terms of all the education, yes, you could go to these music institutes, AIM, SAE, JMC, and look, they're good, but they take months to years to provide you with music education, but you're not going to get industry contacts out of them, and you certainly won't get those specific strategies that we're providing you. Again, Grow My Music is born out of a complete hole in the market and people making these same mistakes over and over again. These institutions have been around for years and they haven't fixed that problem. Or you could do what I did when I started and spend years learning this information, spending hours, trial and error, spending lots of money and wasting a lot of time, and getting 7 years down the track do you figure it all out yourself. But we're going to give anybody that viewed the webinar today a much cheaper price, so you won't be paying the $9,000 that we showed earlier. And here's why. We actually want your success story. Your success is Grow My Music's success. It's the reason why we started Grow My Music. It's the story we want. So right now, there are early bird prices. If you go to growmymusic.com right now, you can catch that early bird price. That's over $9,000 worth of value, so go to growmymusic.com right now and catch that price. Now, you sign up and we are actually also going to throw in all those contract templates for absolutely nothing. So these are the contracts I have paid music lawyers for, and I've paid them $6,800 for all of these things, and I have highlighted parts you need to fill out. I've explained certain sections. You can appropriate these contracts to your own situation, and you're going to get it to your inbox delivered, written by a professional lawyer for absolutely nothing. Now, you might go and find similar contracts out online. I encourage you to look. They're all terrible. They don't work. And this is why I had to pay for them myself. Now, I've spent the money and they're going to be yours. And you're going to get that if you sign up. And the other thing to keep in mind is that this is 100% a tax-deductible expense. And go to growmymusic.com to check out the next 2 dates for the 2-day seminar. We're going to also offer you a money-back guarantee. So, you get all the tools, you have your consultation, you get the Grow My Music Partners list. If you're still unsatisfied after all of that, and you send us an email saying, "Hey, I'm unsatisfied, I want my money back," you're going to get your money back. Guaranteed. It's complete no risk for you. Again, you're going to get all of those contracts. So it's over $16,000 worth of value, and you can get it right now at growmymusic.com. Catch the early bird special. Now remember, this is a fully tax deductible expense. Everything we showed you before, you're actually going to get a lot of this back on tax. If it is too much right away, you can actually do 4 smaller payments. So jump on right away and grab it. Now, I want to stress to you, it's important you continue to invest in your education. If you don't do it with us, if you choose not to take this offer, that's fine. Go and invest elsewhere. You need to make sure you're investing in your education. That's the priority. You don't invest in your education, you're going to be part of the pack. You won't stand out. We have this offer for you now. If you take it, you get tremendous value. If you don't take it, that's fine. go and invest education elsewhere. You just need to invest in your education. That is the most important thing. Go to growmymusic.com if you would like to do it with us. Thank you guys. It has been a pleasure. I hope you found today of tremendous value, and I look forward to seeing your success and working with you and other Grow My Music students and seeing you build massive social media equity and start to lock in enormous brand deals, sell out shows, sell records, and enjoy tremendous success.